Hey, it's so good to see you here. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. You've just stepped into a space where we talk about love, connection, attraction, and how to magnetize the right kind of man without ever losing yourself in the process. Now, today's topic, let's get real for a moment. When we hear the phrase sexually addicted to you, it might sound a little intense, maybe even manipulative. But the truth is, you're not looking to control someone. You're not trying to play games or use your body to win a man's attention. What you do want is influence. You want to know how to create such powerful chemistry emotionally, mentally, and yes, physically, that a man is left thinking about you all the time, not because you tricked him, but because being around you feels better than being without you. And let me say this up front. True sexual addiction isn't just about what happens in the bedroom. It's about what happens before, during, and after. It's about how you engage with his mind, how you create anticipation, how you mix emotional depth with playful mystery, and how you make him feel like no one else sees him the way you do. So today I'm going to share 5 powerful truths, 5 emotional and sensual keys that make a man addicted to your presence, in the most healthy, respectful, and exciting way possible. Let's dive in. If you want to know what truly makes a man sexually obsessed with you, to the point where you live rent-free in his mind and he replays your last conversation on loop, it's not about going straight for the physical. That's where most people get it wrong. The real seduction starts long before you ever touch him. In fact, it starts before you're even alone with him. It begins with what I call emotional foreplay, the mental and energetic buildup that makes the eventual connection feel irresistible. Emotional foreplay is the art of creating anticipation. It's not about being overtly sexual. It's not about being vulgar or trying to shock him with bold innuendos. It's subtle. It's teasing without promising. It's suggestion without spelling it out. And that's what makes it powerful. When a man starts to crave more of you, more of your attention, more of your presence, more of your time, it's because you've stirred something inside of him that most women don't even think to reach. You've awakened his imagination. Think about this. The most addictive feelings we have don't come from what's already in our hands. They come from what we're chasing, what we can't quite figure out, what we almost have. That's what emotional foreplay gives a man. It gives him the chase he craves, not because you're playing games, but because you're confident enough to let him work a little. You're confident enough to show just enough of your warmth, your desire, your playfulness, without making yourself fully available the moment he leans in. This kind of emotional foreplay happens in the way you smile when he looks at you and then turn your attention somewhere else. It's in the way you compliment him with a hint of sarcasm. It's in the way you touch his arm for a second longer than necessary and then walk away without needing anything back. These aren't manipulations, they're invitations, little whispers that say, I see you, I like you, but I'm not going to hand myself over just yet. And trust me, that whisper, that's the kind of energy that drives a man absolutely wild. What you're doing in these moments is activating his imagination. You're lighting up the part of his brain that wants to pursue you, that wants to win you, that wants to earn your energy and feel like he has access to something rare, something not every other man gets. That's what makes it addictive. Because men don't get addicted to what's easy. They get addicted to what's meaningful, to what feels like a reward. So when you show up as someone who's playful, present, and confident, but not desperate for his validation, you become the fantasy that lives inside his mind. Not just because you're sexy, but because you're smart with your energy. And the best part, when you give a man the emotional foreplay that builds up to intimacy, it makes everything that comes after so much more intense. The kiss, the touch, the way he looks at you, all of it becomes more electric. Because by the time he finally has you, he's earned it. And more importantly, you've kept your power. That's the kind of seduction that keeps a man coming back for more, not just once, but again and again. Now, here's something most women don't hear nearly enough. The most magnetic, unforgettable women aren't the ones who try to impress a man in bed. They're the ones who are deeply connected to their own pleasure and who radiate that confidence unapologetically. If you want a man to become sexually addicted to you, not just turned on, but mentally, emotionally, and physically hooked, it starts with how connected you are to yourself. And I mean that quite literally, because a woman who is in tune with her body, her emotions, her desires, she's not just attractive, she's irresistible. She doesn't need to put on a show. She doesn't perform, she experiences. And that difference, that's everything. When you are genuinely present to your own sensuality, when you know how to feel good in your body without waiting for someone else to unlock it, a man senses that and it drives him crazy in the best way. Most people think men want a woman who knows how to please him, but that's backwards. What men are really drawn to, what gets under their skin and makes them crave you, is seeing you lit up, seeing you in your element, seeing you confident in your desires, expressive in your pleasure, and unafraid of being seen in your power. That's not just sexy, that's rare. And rare becomes addictive. Think about it. We're all used to people hiding their insecurities, their fears, their real needs. So when a woman walks into a room or into a moment and she's comfortable in her own skin, when she doesn't shy away from enjoying herself, whether it's laughter, dancing, intimacy, or just a slow knowing look, she becomes electric. Her energy becomes something a man wants to bathe in, to explore, to understand. Confidence in your own pleasure says to a man, I don't need you to validate me, but I'm inviting you to join me. That subtle shift is what changes everything, because instead of being someone trying to please him, you become someone who's already pleased. And that energy, that's like a flame he can't stop staring at. He starts to associate you with that sense of aliveness, with that high. And once he feels that around you, his body starts to respond before you've even touched him. And here's the real kicker. When a man sees you like this, confident, turned on by life, connected to your body, unashamed of your sensuality, it gives him permission to open up. It gives him permission to feel safe in his own expression. And when two people are free, when neither one is hiding or performing, that's where real connection and real obsession is born. So don't chase being sexy. Don't try to match anyone else's idea of what turns a man on. Instead, get to know you. What feels good? What excites you? What makes you feel powerful and soft at the same time? Because when you carry that confidence into the way you walk, talk, and touch, a man doesn't just want your body, he wants all of you. And he'll keep coming back because he can't get that feeling anywhere else. Let me tell you something most people never say out loud. Predictability is the enemy of passion. That's true in relationships, in conversations, in sex, and in energy. If a man always knows what version of you he's going to get, his senses dull, the spark dims. But if you know how to create contrast, if you know how to embody both soft and strong, playful and powerful, nurturing and bold, then you don't just keep his attention, you own it. This is what I call the seduction of contrast. And it's not a trick. It's not about being inconsistent or confusing. It's about being fully expressed. It's about showing the different shades of who you are and giving him just enough of each to keep him emotionally engaged. One moment you're cheeky and flirtatious, tossing a sly smile over your shoulder. The next you're serious and thoughtful, sharing something meaningful about your life. That shift, that emotional agility, it hits different. because it keeps him wondering what's coming next. Now, why is this so addictive? Because human attraction thrives on uncertainty within emotional safety. It's the idea that he can trust you, but he can't predict you. And that is a powerful combination. When a man feels safe with you, emotionally accepted, connected, seen, and yet he also feels challenged and stimulated because you're never quite static, he gets hooked. That duality feeds his masculine desire to pursue, to earn, to engage. You're not giving him one energy on a loop, you're showing him a spectrum, and that spectrum becomes the emotional roller coaster he never wants to get off. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're on a date, he's expecting you to be polite and sweet, and you are, but then you make a sharp-witted comment that completely throws him off in the most playful way. You smirk. You hold his eye just a little longer. Suddenly he's rethinking everything. He realizes she's not just charming, she's sharp. She's got teeth. That surprise, that contrast, it builds tension. It makes his heartbeat just a little faster. Well, let's say you're in an intimate moment. You're tender, present, soft, and then you lean in, kiss him slow, and whisper something bold, the unexpected. That polarity between softness and heat, between comfort and edge, is what creates sexual tension so strong it lingers in his mind long after he's left the room. Men become addicted to women who stimulate their emotions, who move fluidly between vulnerability and power, who can open their hearts without losing their boundaries, because that shows emotional depth. That shows maturity. That shows that you're not afraid to be fully alive. And there's nothing more irresistible than a woman who lives in her full expression. So if you want a man to crave you, not just sexually, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, learn to play in your contrast. Be the light and the dark, the safe haven and the wild storm. Let him feel all of you, one beautiful layer at a time. Because when you show up in all your colors, he'll never go back to grayscale again. If you want to know one of the most overlooked secrets to making a man sexually addicted to you, and I'm not just talking about lust here, but that pull, that need to be around you, it's this. Don't reveal everything all at once. Men don't become obsessed with what they can see, feel, and have on day one. They become obsessed with what they sense is there, but they haven't fully accessed yet. What keeps a man thinking about you long after the date ends, what makes his body respond to just the memory of your voice, is knowing that there's more to you. Layers he hasn't uncovered yet. Parts of you he hasn't earned the right to touch, physically, emotionally, or otherwise. See, a lot of women have been conditioned to believe that to make a man stay, they have to be completely available from the beginning. Emotionally open, sexually eager, endlessly accommodating. But that doesn't create obsession. That doesn't create a lasting pull. What does? Mystery, earned intimacy, a feeling that you're not giving him everything just because he showed up. You're giving him glimpses and letting him rise to the occasion to see more. This isn't about playing games. This is about having standards, having value. Because here's what most women don't realize. The moment you start over-giving, whether with attention, touch, compliments, or access to your heart, without letting him earn that deeper connection, you take away the very thing that makes it powerful. You take away the challenge. You remove the earning process that allows him to attach emotionally. Think about it like this. When you buy something cheap, something easy, you don't think twice about losing it. But when you've invested in something, when you put in time, energy, patience, vulnerability, it becomes meaningful, becomes yours. That same principle applies in love. When a man invests in understanding you, in peeling back your layers, in gaining your trust, you become irreplaceable to him, because now he's not just attracted to you, he's emotionally connected to the process of earning you. So, how does this show up in practice? It means you don't feel pressure to rush into vulnerability. You don't share every childhood wound or every insecurity on the second date. It means you don't rush into intimacy just because the chemistry is hot. Instead, you let the moment breathe. You let him work for it. You let him show up. And each time he does, each time he proves he's safe, consistent, respectful, you reveal a little more, a new thought, a new dream, a new part of yourself. And that slow reveal, that's what makes him addictive, because he knows there's more and he wants to earn it. The truth is, men don't stay for the sex alone. They stay for the story, for the journey, for the feeling of unlocking parts of you that no one else gets to touch. So if you want to be unforgettable, if you want him thinking about you in the middle of the night, don't just give him access. Give him a reason to pursue it. Let him feel the joy of winning more of you, one genuine layer at a time, if you really want to leave a man wanting more, if you want to live in his mind long after you've left the room. You have to understand this. The brain remembers through the senses, not through facts, not through logic, but through feeling, through what it hears, what it smells, what it tastes, touches, and sees. This is how emotional memory is formed. And this, when done with intention, becomes one of the most powerful tools of seduction you'll ever have. I call these sensory anchors, moments that tie an experience of you to a physical, tangible sensation. A laugh that echoes in his ear when he's alone, a scent that lingers on his jacket for days, the way your fingers traced his wrist when you made a point. These may seem like small things, but they hook him because they link your presence to a visceral memory, one that he can't shake off no matter how hard he tries. Let's start with scent. Do not underestimate the power of this. Scent is directly tied to memory and emotion. It bypasses the thinking brain and taps straight into the primal one. Choose a fragrance that feels like you. Something soft, sultry, subtle. Not overpowering, but intimate. Something he'll breathe in when you hug him, doesn't think about days later. When he smells it again anywhere, his body will react before his mind catches up. And boom, you're back in his thoughts. You've become part of his environment. Touch is another anchor. But it's not just about being sexual, it's about being intentional. When you touch him, even casually, on the arm, the back of the neck, the inside of the wrist, do it with presence. Don't rush, make it meaningful. If you laugh and lightly press your hand to his chest for a beat longer than normal, that moment registers. That simple touch is no longer casual, it's charged. And now he'll notice every time you do it again, or every time you don't. Even the way you speak can become an anchor. The rhythm of your voice, the way you say his name, the kind of eye contact you hold when you tell him something no one else knows. That kind of attention, that softness in your voice, it creates intimacy that wraps around him like a warm memory. It becomes something he can't replicate with anyone else. And it's that uniqueness that makes you unforgettable. The beauty of sensory anchors is that they build intimacy without effort. They don't require grand gestures. They just require presence, a deep awareness of how your energy imprints on him moment by moment. That's what seduction truly is. Not manipulation, not performance, but the quiet power of creating experiences that stay with someone. When you create these anchors with intention, what you're really doing is rooting yourself in his emotional landscape. So even when he's not with you, when he's driving, working, lying in bed at night, he feels something, a flash of warmth, a need to reach out, a longing. That's the addiction, that's the imprint. That's how a man becomes magnetically, irresistibly drawn to you, not just for the sex, but for the feeling of you that lives in his body long after the moment ends. So here's the truth. You don't have to be the most physically attractive woman in the room. You don't have to be the most extroverted or the most experienced or the one who says all the right things, because men become truly addicted to the ones who stay in their minds, who get under their skin, who leave them breathless without even trying. are the ones who understand the emotional game, the inner landscape, the deeper layers that most people never learn to play in. When you learn how to create emotional foreplay before you ever touch him, when you carry the confidence of someone who knows her own pleasure and isn't afraid to own it, when you dance between contrasts, soft and strong, playful and passionate, like it's second nature, when you let him earn access to your heart instead of handing it over too soon, and when you leave him with sensory memories so vivid that he can feel you long after you're gone, that's when he becomes addicted, not just to the idea of being with you, but to you. The real you, the powerful, emotionally connected, fully expressed woman who doesn't just take up space, she leaves a mark. So if this message spoke to you, if it reminded you of your power, your depth, your value, then I want you to do two things right now. First, drop a comment below and tell me which of these 5 emotional turn-ons you're going to embody more consciously starting today. I read every single one. This is your space to reflect, to grow, to connect with others walking the same journey. Second, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss another video. Because this is just the beginning. Every week, I'm dropping new tools, new conversations, and new strategies to help you step into your most magnetic, irresistible self. Not just for men, but for you. Remember, you don't attract love by chasing it. You attract it by becoming the version of yourself that knows she deserves it. And that's exactly what we're doing here, together. So stay close, and I'll see you in the next video.